Donc bienvenue sur MGG. Et évidemment, on est là pour les Wars à San Francisco en direct avec Naz, qui a quand même une grosse position à Riot Games, la Head of Esport League of Legends. Donc évidemment, on a des questions pour elle qui sont des fois un peu piquantes. Espérons que les réponses soient à la hauteur. First, let's start with some statistics, and I wanted to know your opinions about both the KPI and also like the viewership, because in Europe we have some echoes about like the esports charts, a Twitter account, saying that the number were not as good as last year's. So do you have any opinion about it, and are you worried about that?
Yeah, we're not worried about it. I think League of Legends esports is still at peak popularity. I think what makes our sport so special is that we have a global community. And, the downside of that is there isn't a singular time zone when we take our global events to a region that can service that entire global community. So we expect viewership to ebb and flow based on time zone, based on scheduling, based on other kind of world impacts, COVID and coming out of COVID. But we're really proud of this world. We think it's been one of the most exciting, one of the most entertaining worlds that we've seen. And on our part, we really try to do our best to make the content available to everybody in the ways that they want to consume it. So if you miss the live broadcast, we do a rebroadcast, we post VODs, we post highlights so that the entire global community can really be on this world's journey with us.
So yeah, as you say, COVID is like almost over, and as a media, we could finally come on site and as a public too. So was it like harder or more exciting to organize this kind of event with the public and with the media on stage?
It is so good to have you all here in person with us, and the fans. It's just game-changing to have fans in the stands. We were really fortunate that for the last 2 years, we were able to continue with our seasons and continue to provide worlds to everybody virtually, right, without a live audience. But I don't think anything substitutes the energy and the electricity that you have in an arena full of fans. So we couldn't be more excited to have them back. And I think Saturday is really going to be the apex of the season.
And of course, I think at every year there is some, not setbacks, some difficulties, and this year has not been exception. Like for example, I want to speak about the LCL forfeit, the Russian team was not coming. So when this kind of events happens, how hard is it to handle them? And among all the problems that you face, which one was the harder to handle?
Yeah, I think every year, every world, every season is full of the unexpected, right? And it's our jobs to be nimble and to problem solve, ensure that the competition is going to be fair and high integrity, and move quick so that we can continue to deliver these amazing experiences to the fans and to the pro players. So it was unfortunate that the LCL team couldn't come out to Worlds this year. We were able again to kind of quickly assess the situation and give a fourth seed to Europe, which we were excited to see. And in terms of your question around COVID and I think the complexities of it, absolutely. I think the impact it's still there. It's still very real. I think traveling 24 teams from all over the world into a singular location is certainly not without its challenges, but we're really proud to have been able to do it. And they were all here and they've competed, and here we are.
I wanted to speak about one very specific rule that we changed between before playing about the drawing rules, saying that Mad Lion, because Europe had 4 seeds for this year's, if Mad Lion qualify, which is not so far because I just lost 1 BO5 against EG, we will have 4 teams from Europe in the competition, and then they will consider Mad Lion not as a European team. So how was the choice made, and can we expect that this kind of change could be choose again in the following years?
Yeah, I know those were some of the rules that we changed to ensure, again, the competitive integrity of the draw, the competitive integrity of the entire event. What future formats look like and future draws look like, I think we'll have more to say on that later this year. But, we're pretty confident that it's been a really fair competition so far.
So now I wanted to talk about a kind of we say like a snake serpent, a snake, a water snake, I guess in France, because like about the format, which is like always coming in the discussions. So many people like claim or wants to have like a lower bracket. So I'm not gonna ask you like when we're going to have it, but I just want to know like what are the defining factors, like what are the reasons that you want to have it or not to want to have it. So what are the defining factors for it?
Yeah, it's a great question. We've seen a lot of discussion in the community, and we've taken actually this season to really start to dive deep and take a look at our global event formats, take a look at the pros and cons, like you pointed out, of double elim, of single elim. When should we apply it? When should we not? As we look at next year, we are going to be rolling out new formats for MSI and for Worlds. But when it comes to single and double elim, I think it's an interesting question, because if you look at any other major sporting event, they're usually single elimination once you get to that knockout stage. And that's interesting to us. I think for our overall season, our goal, get the best teams from each of the regions to Worlds. Once they're here, at least the way the current format is, you've got to perform every day. You've got to win every day, because that determines the best. And so it's something that we're looking at, again, as we look to future years. But we know that there is pros and cons, I'd say, to both.
We feel that the gap is not closing. Like it's even increasing between like Asian team and Western team, and even between Western team and I guess wildcard regions. So is it a problem as a whole, like for Riot, to see that the gap is not closing? And do you have like a neutral positions, or you want the gap to be closed?
We want the sport to be competitive, and so we'd love to see some equity in terms of the competitiveness across regions. I think like in any sport, you're going to have seasons where certain teams or certain regions are stronger than others, and that's always going to ebb and flow. And I think as long as there is an ebb and flow, it's a healthy ecosystem. I do think that we have and will continue to invest in developmental systems and tools, right? So that pro players have the opportunity, and the up and coming pro players have the opportunity to compete. So a couple examples of that would be Champions Queue, which we launched here in North America, and you've seen the world's participating teams competing on as well. I think in Europe, the ERL system is a fantastic example. We have 11 ERLs. There's over 900 players who compete in the ERL system. You've seen, I think it's 8 or 9 of the LEC teams who have been competing, 8 or 9 players, I should say, on the LEC teams that have been competing at this Worlds came up through the ERL system. And all of that helps to really kind of develop skills and make regions more competitive. So we absolutely want to, continue investing in those types of tools and systems and kind of different layers, right? Additional layers of competition within the ecosystem.
And you just mentioned Champions Queue, and of course, like from Europe, we're a little bit jealous because like we really love these systems, and we just have like random solo queue with like random OTP Sinjet running it down. So do you think that this system can be like, how do you evaluate the effectiveness of the system, and can we expect it to be like launched in Europe or maybe in Asia as well?
Yeah, in North America, the reason that we launched Champions Queue was we wanted to provide pro players with a low ping environment where they could have really high quality matchups. And Champions Queue has been really successful in that regard in giving them, a better tool to practice in addition to solo queue and the scrims that they set up. It is something that we are exploring to take to additional regions, Europe, of course, being one of them. So hopefully we'll have more to share on that next season, but we do see it as a really successful tool.
And then I want to speak about a kind of very spicy point. I don't know how to say that, but during the world experience so far, there has been a content creator, Vanderil, who highlight a lot of small bugs which happened during the games, and some of them were handled by Riot Games. For example, Oriana was banned for a few days, but some other points were not so clear for us. For example, the game between TS and the Vietnamese team during the main event when Lucian was not able to finish the game because maybe, I don't know yet, his mode didn't work. So do you think that Riot could like communicate more about these kind of issues? And do you think that in the future like we can have like more transparency about that?
Yeah, I think bugs are the unfortunate reality of a digital sport that's run right off of a game. Before the event and during the event, as bugs come up, we essentially provide a list of known bugs to the pro teams so that they are aware of what's there. As you said, sometimes we, won't allow certain champions to be played if we know there is bugs. But there are bugs that will go unnoticed. And in those instances, the rule set essentially says that the pro player can pause the game, our referees will review it, and the next steps will be taken, just based on what that is. And so that's essentially the situation I think that you're outlining in the TES game, but there was no pause. But, as a game company, we're of course very committed to resolving as many of the bugs as possible.
Yes, because to be honest, I think most of the people can understand, but it was just a little bit disappointing because we didn't have any communication about that. So this is why some people in Europe were so grumpy about that, but I guess they can understand now. So now I want to speak about have a focus on LEC because of course I'm from France, so I love both LFL and LEC. But even if you are going to have press conference in a few days in Berlin, so I wanted still to have some insight before everyone else, I guess. So of course I don't want you to develop that much about the new format because I guess you can't talk about it. But can you tell me about the defining factor and why you decided to change it now in 2022 or for next year, I guess?
Yeah, so I won't comment on anything that's coming up for the LEC conference. We're of course here to talk about Worlds. But overall, I think our sport is still in a state of evolution, and we like that. We want to keep trying new things. We want to try new formats, whether that's at the regional league level, at the global level. We want to introduce new types of play, new types of events, new types of competition. So I think you're going to see more of that coming from us, not just next year, but even going into 2024 and beyond. And
then, of course, there was some bigger project. I want to know more about it because for so long, some people are dying about having a World Cup with competition by teams, national teams. So is something like that is going to happen sooner or later?
Yeah, we think a nation-based competition is pretty exciting too. And next year, we're going to have, we aren't going to have, but there will be a Asian Games, which will be, a medal event, and League of Legends will be one of a few esports that are going to be featured there. So for the first time ever, League of Legends is going to be a medaled event, which we're really, really proud of. We're taking that as an opportunity to really learn and assess and see what works, well, what doesn't work so well, so that we can apply that for potentially future events. And if those future events are global in nature, are they regional in nature? Those are all things that we're considering. So more to come. But I think the Asian Games next year is going to be really exciting to watch and see and learn from.
In Europe, the MSI tournaments is not so popular. Some teams are not so happy to play it, and some other viewers are not so happy to watch it. So are you planning to change anything? Could be format, could be communication, could be other things to make it more hype, or do you think that the tournament, could be delayed in the future as well?
Yeah, well, we don't have any plans to take MSI away. You'll have an MSI 2023, but we want our global events, like I said before, to be the peak moments of the season. So the hype should be there, the stakes should be there, those really amazing rivalries and matchups should be there. And so, we are working on a new format, so you will see that in 2023 as well. So maybe we're going to get you to be a fan of MSI in 2023.
Les Français, faut aimer le MSI. Thank you so much.